Apparently, we're going to start running a contest for the worst blob of doom and Bambu Lab top glass that just randomly explodes, and I definitely left some printers off of that tier list. All this and more. PrintFix Friday, episode 138. We're back from Rocky Mountain Rep Rap. Let's get into it. Hey all, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here and you're struggling with your 3D prints, we are here to help you get your printers back to printing with purpose. And if you do want to get some help, you can reach out to us on all the social medias. Links, of course, are on the screen and in the description, where you can get help directly. Twitter's generally the easiest way to reach me, although I am at 3D Musketeers on Discord as well. We want to help you getting your printers back up and running properly. That's the idea of PrintFix Friday, almost 3 years running now. We should do something special for 3 years. I know it's in like half a year, but still, I want to do something special for it. You guys let me know what we should do for the 3-year episode. We're going to start off with my buddy Nathan from Cookiecad, who decided that Construct 3D and their Blob of Doom was not good enough. No. He had to have a better one, and Joel says, put that in the Louvre. Honestly, I could probably see this there. This is very interesting. It's Cookiecad filament, I sure as heck hope so. They make some really pretty filament. We have a baby belt planned coming up, and we're currently between Cookiecad and another brand to build that baby belt. So if you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments. Am I missing a filament brand that we should know about that you would like to see us build a printer out? Because we do want to build one of these baby belts. We talked with Rob from the Baby Belt Project at Rocky Mountain Rep Rap, and videos for that will start next week, so get subscribed if you do want to see that. And there will be a metric ton, that is 2.2 standard American tons worth of content that is extra for the paid members out there. So if you want to join our PayPal, Patreon, YouTube channel members, we would love that. And you get to see really cool things, including all the 360 content that we took while we were there. Reasonably uncut. Fairly certain we can go reasonably uncut on all of that. And at the $10 tier and higher, you get to come hang out with us in our private Discord server, where you have seen some of that stuff already. We've been teasing it out there and giving little snippets to the Discord peeps to see if it works. And of course, you would also get to see the Cat and Groom floor, which is available, episode 1, available to all of our paid members as well, which includes interactions with the cat, print fails, and bloopers and things that didn't actually make it to the full video. But on to Nathan's issue here. He's got an E3D V6 on, I think, an Ender 5, fairly certain that's an Ender 5, with a printed duct that is no longer around. And this one's pretty good. What do you guys think? Should we run like the worst print fail category? Like, we should do them by quarter. Should we do them by the year? I don't know. You guys let me know. Another thing to note, this is just more of a personal gripe. I do not like these solderless crimps. I do not like them at all. So it's basically some heat shrink with a little bit of like waxy glue stuff. And then in the middle is some very, very low melt solder. You use a blowtorch or like a butane torch to do them. And I always find that you get really kind of like dry solder joints. They're not good. I've never liked them, and I don't find them to be anywhere near as good as like even regular style crimps. I get it, they're less weight and all of that, but I don't know, that's a personal gripe. I think I'm allowed to have a personal gripe or two. I don't know if this one beats Construct 3D though. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts down below. We want to run a contest like this because we get enough Blobs of Doom here on the channel that whatever, let's send it. But I swear, I know there's going to be someone that's just going to make a Blob of Doom to make a Blob of Doom. So please don't deliberately do this. It's got to be like one of those it just freaking happened levels of failures. Otherwise, we're kind of, you know, defeating the purpose of the actual contest. But yeah, should we do a contest for like the worst failure of the year? Love to know. Let me know down below. We've been through these ones before though. Heat up the printer. Hopefully it's enough where it does start to fall off. But at this point, you might be looking at a new hot end. You're definitely looking at a new heater and thermistor because it is so enveloped of the hot end itself. And in fact, it looks like it's covering some of the heat sink. I don't know if you're going to survive getting the electronics out of this hot end. The hot end itself is likely salvageable. Just blowtorch the crap out of it and just don't get it hot enough to melt the aluminum that it's made out of, and you'll be okay. But the heater and thermistor, I don't know if it's worth it. To me, it ain't worth it. to the blowtorch. Let me know what you guys think. Next up, from the Bambu Lab Facebook group. This one hurts my soul. So the top of a Bambu X1 and the Bambu printers in general, the glass is tempered. Tempered glass is great because it withstands shock up until the point that it doesn't, and it just goes bang, and it tends to just shatter into thousands of pieces. And thankfully, those pieces are designed to not be very sharp, right? So it's pretty easy to take care of tempered glass. This, however, should not happen and is likely from some sort of thermal shock or some sort of point load that hit it. Now, this occurred, from what we can tell, during a print. Never fun. And I'm sure that noise sounded like someone lit off a firework. There's only a couple of ways to prevent this, and the easy one is not actually preventing it. It's preventing the mess. Clear window film or UV window film is also appropriate too. Any clear vinyl of sorts, put it over the glass. If the glass breaks, or when the glass breaks, you just throw it away. It's in one piece because the tint, if you will, holds it together. And that's actually how windshields are done, because they're laminated with a piece of plastic in the middle so that you're less likely to puncture a windshield than you are something like a side window. Now, don't try to do that. It's not good either way, but windshields are designed to not throw glass everywhere, where a side window kind of just does. So you can do this. It's very cheap. Heck, I believe you can even go to your local $1.25 tree, because calling them Dollar Tree is wrong. It's not $1 anymore. And you can get clear window film from them, or clear vinyl. For this one, at least, they've got an extra lighting source in there. So if they just put a glass top on it and they make it black, or they make it green, or they make it whatever color, it's not going to matter. Their lighting's inside the printer, so it's no big deal. I like those lighting mods, by the way. I've always liked the lighting mods, but Big Tree Tech just showed us one at Rocky Mountain that I like even better, and I'm definitely going to be doing it to ours. We normally have a panel light on top of our glass, but I'm going to definitely be doing the Big Tree Tech one because it solves every problem with like none of the BS, and I absolutely love that. Clear window film would definitely keep this from being as big of a mess as it is. Glass does not normally break on its own. We might also have something to do with that cover riser that they have on there. There might be a screw that was applying force to the glass, and the glass decided to see you later. But a vacuum will clean this out just fine. It sucks. It's not that big of a deal overall, especially if you're doing things like PLA and PETG. You're supposed to keep the door open and the top glass tilted up anyways. And we can see they've removed their front door too. So if you've removed your front door, do you really need your top glass? I think the printer was just trying to turn itself into a P1P. Clearly that's what it was trying to do. I will accept no arguments here. Joe over on Twitter said, is this print fail Wednesday? I attempted a full-size Positron 3D model print because I told Nomad Galaxy I would. I guess I had a loose belt. Oh, the Positron project. The project where you have to print the printer on its side because it's an upside-down printer because it's clearly Australian. We all know how this goes. Yeah, they had a layer skip. It happens. What most likely happened here, instead of being a loose belt, is that it contacted some of the infill, or there was an area that had warped up a little bit and the printer got stuck on it. Now, I will say, and I think I am going to be in agreement with a lot of people here, that still looks great. That Sovol handled the overhangs pretty darn good, all things considered. So A+, I'm very happy to see that. But yeah, the Positron project actually released the 3D file of the Positron printer so people could print them for fun. And it is available for pre-order now. So if you guys do want to see us do a Positron build on the channel, let me know, and I'll bother Nomad's Galaxy, who is likely already trolling me in the comments. But I want to know your biggest tinfoil hat conspiracy of the Positron project. As you've probably seen, if you follow us on Twitter specifically, or X, whatever they want to call it, we have been absolutely trolling back and forth with the Positron people. They are really awesome people. We got to interview them over at Rocky Mountain, and of course, Nomad's Galaxy is a fan of the channel, hangs out in our Discord, and we just thought it would be a bunch of fun to just come up with the most ridiculous theories that we could for why the Positron printer prints upside down. So we went with that it's clearly Australian. We had an Australian fan of ours, state that this is accurate. We went down a rabbit hole. It was a lot of fun, but I would love to know your tinfoil hat conspiracies about why the Positron decided that printing upside down was the smartest move here. Don't worry, they're cool with this. And if they're not, too bad. Love you, Nomad. But yeah, this is a layer skip, guys. Very simple thing. More Z-hop, more better. That will keep those things from occurring. If it is a loose belt, check it. I don't think that it is because the rest of the print shows that it's not a loose belt. We had an area where it got stuck. It's not a loose belt in my opinion. So I hope that maybe a little Z-hop will fix that problem. The quality of this roll of Fiberology PP that I bought. Has anyone seen such a bad quality filament? Well, clearly your PP's messed up. I'm sorry, that one was just too easy. Interesting, you say the spool is PP, but it looks more like poo-poo. I like that one too, that's a good one. This is really, really bad on the tolerance side of things. Fiberology should take care of them on this. And like, Fiberology is supposed to be one of the higher quality brands. My assumption here is that this was a mistake. So when we were making filament at Printed Solid, the first roll of filament that we made, we actually got rid of, technically. I took it home because I wanted it, but we got rid of it because it was way out of spec for tolerance and should not be sold. My best guess here is that's what happened here, and somebody didn't remember by the time they got the rest of the spool done, and the rest of the spool looked okay. So they sent it thinking that it was okay, just an absent-minded thing that can happen. I would bet that Fiberology would take care of them on this, because like, I'm used to Fiberology making really, really high quality filament, and polypropylene, first off, Godspeed on that. Polypropylene is a very difficult material to print. Like, it doesn't like sticking to anything, like, period. I believe the best for the bed treatment is clear packing tape. Of all things, there's a whole thing with printing it. It is not an easy thing to do. Yeah, I have to agree with this commenter saying they bet it's the first extrusion of the batch and they were dialing in the settings and then somehow or by accident decided to sell it. That is exactly my thought here too, because you're pretty deep in the spool at this point. Right? You can see that you're at least halfway through this spool. From what we can see, this bit here looks okay. It's just down here that it looks bad. I think this is either a spool 2 that was still having issues or a spool 1 that they forgot to get rid of, or they forgot to not sell it and keep it for internal stuff. Thankfully, Fiberology, along with many filament brands, are very, very good at taking care of this stuff. So I'm not too worried about it. But for a premium quality filament, you should not have this problem. So hopefully it gets taken care of. Next up, 2 fails of my own. We're gonna start off with my tier list, because I missed a lot of printers on that tier list. I'm sorry. We missed, you all called them out. The Positron's not on there. The Q1 Pro is not on there, and the Micronix printer. I'll rank them right now just so you guys know where I would put them, right? Positron is going to get probably a V tier because it's upside down, so it's an upside down A. So it's gonna get an A tier. It's a very odd printer and it relies on some custom stuff, and I'm a little bit worried about it long term, but I have to have some faith that the community around it and the people that just think it's super cool like I do will be there to support it. But as a company, Positron is not going to be providing all that much support because they don't have the staff to do it. So maybe even an E tier, because that's a backwards B. Anyways, an A or B is where I would put the Positron printer. I think it's going to be a good printer. We saw them at Rocky Mountain. I've been following it since they were using the synchro mesh belts, which I still think are cooler, but I understand why they didn't do it. But I am a little worried that because it is so unique, specifically the hot end being as unique as it is, that it poses some potential problems for just usability down the road. And the nice thing is we kind of have the ear of the general manager of the Positron project. His name is Nomad's Galaxy. You'll see him in the comments. He's probably already trolled us a few times. He's really good at listening to feedback, and that's something that I can heavily appreciate in this community. It's why I ranked the Magneto X in S tier. It doesn't belong in the S tier. It could be in the S tier if they fix the problems associated with it. And because PO Poly is so good at getting back to us and fixing the problems, they earned an S tier spot because I have faith that they're going to make a good printer. I have faith that Positron is going to make a good printer too, because they're of course doing the kit with LDO, but I'm going to knock them down because they're going to rely heavily on the community for support. That's not necessarily a bad thing. You just have to understand when you get into it. And I don't know, but I would like to see one of these Diamondbacks on a Positron. What do you guys say? A little overkill, but hey, Hey, no kill like overkill. Micronix is either going to be an S tier or a D tier, and there's literally no in between for me. And I hate saying that. So I've talked with the people behind Micronix, and once they have their Kickstarter, they're going to be coming on a podcast with us to kind of talk about what it's like building an SLS printer. They're making a decision that I'm slightly uneasy about, which is they're going to vertically integrate and do all of the manufacturing themselves because, quote unquote, they don't want to be like Boeing. And I get that. I understand that. But for a team of, I think, 2 or 3 people to fully vertically integrate is way more effort than they think. And to me, that is going to be the crux that could cause their Kickstarter to be a disaster. And I am not trying to see that happen with them. I want this machine to succeed. For those who don't know about the Micronix printer, it is an SLS printer that is selective laser sintering. It is a powder-based 3D printer, something that I have a ton of experience with, but unfortunately, we are 1/10 the size of a channel that they were looking for. So if you want to help us get to the point where we could be the type of channel that they would be looking for, subscribe, leave a like, and do all of those things. It helps the channel grow, and share this with more people so they get to see it. So at about $3,000 on a Kickstarter, and the retail, they're looking at about $4,500. It is, if they can do it, going to absolutely obliterate anything else on the market. They're claiming a pretty decent build volume of 160 by 160 by 200, which is really going to come out to about 145 to 150 by 150. It has to do with the heating of the cake, which is the powder in there. It's a whole thing. And when you look at their next competition in that size, it's the Fuse One from Formlabs at like 5x the price. Fuse One starts at like 20 grand. Realistically, you're all in at about 35,000 for a Fuse One with the mixing station, depowdering station, all that kind of stuff. It adds up. Now there is like the Sintra Lisa, there's Sintra Tech, and there's a couple of others that are playing this low cost SLS game, but none of them are this affordable. So I am a little worried about their ability to scale at Micronix. If they can do it properly, I think they've got an S-tier printer, and we will absolutely be having one here at the shop. That build volume, while it seems like it's small, the vast majority of parts that you guys would make likely fit within that build volume pretty well. And when you're looking at production printing, SLS, because it's powder-based, needs no support whatsoever. And in fact, you can pack parts inside of parts. You're playing a lot of 3D Tetris, something that I'm very familiar with the powder printers that we have. If they can succeed, they're an S tier. If they can't, they're a D tier. And unfortunately, I'm not certain there's any other option for them. It's either amazing, they're going to absolutely obliterate the market for affordable SLS, or they're going to outright fail and they get put down with some of the other machines. I don't want to see them fail. I want to see them succeed. And in fact, I have been volunteering as much as I can with them to assist in whatever ways that we can, because I want to see them succeed, because the industry needs something like this to shake it up a little bit and push some of the big people like Stratasys, 3D Systems, heck, even
Markforged,
getting into binder jetting, but push these companies that are doing powder 3D printing to have more affordable options. So people that want to go from this kind of hobbyist prosumer to high-end prosumer light industrial have that path without going from like a $2,000 printer to a $40,000 printer. That jump is way too much for most people, and it means that most small businesses will stick with these cheaper techs that, while they work well, can't hold a candle to what you can do with SLS. Q1 Pro, and then the Rat Rig V4. So the Q1 Pro, I can't rank it high. I'm gonna rank it like B tier or C tier. And that's because I've had a really bad experience with mine. It doesn't print. It gets like 2 layers and then it just stops. It freezes, it doesn't take inputs. It does thankfully turn off all the heaters, which is nice. But we've tried now over a dozen different USB sticks. We've tried reflashing the printer. I've currently been working with Cheaty to see what we're going to do about it, but it seems a little hit or miss on the QC for that. And of course, with that heater that is exposed live voltage, yeah, that's a risk that you're gonna have to be comfortable with one way or another. So yeah, B tier, C tier. For me, it's going to be C tier. I know some people it's going to be closer to the A tier, but I've had a lot of issues with it. So for me personally, it's got to go C tier. The V-Core 4, which we interviewed with the Rat Rig team at Rocky Mountain, and I am trying to get them on a podcast coming soon. So if you want to see that, stay tuned. It is a really cool machine. We will be building one on the channel. Don't know when, sometime soon, TM. We will be building one. It looks like they listen to a lot of what the industry wants, and they're claiming that their documentation is going to be better. And I hope so, because their documentation on the V-Core 3 it wasn't great. It just simply wasn't great. I wasn't happy with it from what we saw, but they've taken a lot of community development pointers and have applied it into their big printers. So I'm happy to see that. And the V4 is so cool. It's modular, it's a good size, and apparently it's a big, chonky printer. The 300 that we saw at Rocky Mountain Rep Rap at the Fabrico booth was just nuts. It was so heavy, I did not want to pick it up. That's how heavy the machine was. I'm excited to see what comes of that. And it looks like they're kind of listening to what the community wants. So I'm all for it. But yeah, those are the big ones that people mentioned that I missed. So I'm sorry for failing you in that. Last but not least, my own failure, a printed part of mine that we've had in use for years has finally failed on me. This is a clamping mechanism that we use for the shelves behind me. And in fact, you can see it working right there. There's one there, and then there's one right basically above my head. And so we use the Prusa spool holders because they actually work really, really well on basically any printer, including Prusa's. But it makes it so you don't have to hang the spools on the printer. This clips into the shelf, and then the spool hangs on the bottom like this. At some point in the middle of the night, this broke. I heard the crash, but I assumed it was the cat doing something and just kind of let it go, because the cat does random crap in the middle of the night, and I let it go. When I woke up in the morning, I noticed I was missing an entire set of spools. They were on the floor, and this piece was broken in half. Clearly, I have put a prototype into a production atmosphere, and I paid the price. Thankfully, both the spools are totally fine. The spool holder is totally fine, so it's just the printed part that needs to be replaced. This is a great case of, it looks like I used maybe 3 perimeters. Yeah, it looks like 3 perimeters on this, maybe 15-20% infill. More perimeters, more better. There is going to be a point load with this project because, of course, it thins out. As you can see, the part just kind of separates. Yeah, broke right at the layer lines, right at the seam lines. And I'm not entirely certain there was much we could do about it other than, well, printing hotter, printing more perimeters, and not leaving it loaded with 2 kilos of filament for weeks at a time. But this is the fun part about testing. We tested this, and I thought it was good. It's not, so we get to modify it, reprint it, and put it back to work. We will be releasing this file, so if you do want to print something like this, you can find it on all the platforms. In fact, that's what's going to push me to build a Thangs page and a more substantial printables page as well. That way, if you want to get it, you can join memberships or however you want to join to get this file. It's going to be a couple of bucks. Support the work that we do, people. It doesn't cost much, and it goes a long way. And if you use the racks, the industrial racking from Sam's Club, it will fit them as it fits mine. But yeah, print it with more perimeters than you think. Sometimes strength does matter. Thankfully, outside of a small piece of plastic, nothing of real value was lost. That's just how life goes sometimes. You win some, you lose some, and sometimes you come to a bunch of spools on your floor. Thankfully, the spools are cardboard and they didn't break, so no loss of any incredible value. But a huge, incredible value to us are all of our channel member supporters whose names are listed right next to me at the $5 tier and higher. Thank you for all that you all do in making these videos possible and supporting creators like us and, hey, other creators out there as well. Support your favorite creators. It helps us greatly. Even $1 a month goes a long way to helping creators. If every one of our viewers gave $1 a month, we would really be able to produce some amazing content because we could afford to do it. So thank you to those whose names are scrolling next to me for making that kind of thing possible. Right below me will be the entire PrintFixFriday series. We're 138 episodes deep. I really love this series. And I'd like to know if you guys want to run some contests as well. Let us know down in those comments. That is all I have for you all today. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. Remember, resin is toxic, and to leave a like. And as always, keep making awesome. And wish my dad a happy birthday. It was his birthday on Tuesday. See you later. Resin is toxic. Resin is toxic. Resin is toxic. Resin is toxic.